and thank you for joining the Software Hut. First and foremost, let me apologize for the previous video in which the audio was extremely distorted. Uh, we'll try to make sure such error does not happen again in future videos. In today's video, what I would like to do is to take a look at elementary OS. Now, a few of my colleagues have been raving about elementary OS. They've been telling me how they enjoy using this particular Linux distribution. And so today I just want to take some time to take a look at it for myself and see if it deserves to be used as a primary operating system. So as you can see, I've just installed this Linux distribution. So uh, it is not yet set up. So let's go ahead and see what's in this Linux distribution. So let's go through this welcome. Okay, so we can select color scheme. There's some pretty nice colors, not too sharp, not too dull. I think I would go with this color. Nightlight. I will not be using that. This is one feature I do like. Whichever Linux distribution you're using, you can add this to it, but this automatically deletes temporary files or files in the trash after 30 days. I do believe you will have the option later on in settings to tweak the policy a little bit, meaning you can tweak how many days should go by before temporary files or trash files get deleted. So I will keep that. I will not be connecting any online accounts. We have an App Center. I think I will look at that a little later on. And that's it. So let's go ahead. So I gotta say, for this desktop, I really like this desktop. This wallpaper is pretty nice. I believe this wallpaper comes default on elementary OS, regardless of what version you're using. So this is like their stock wallpaper. Okay, let's see what we have down here in this dock. We have multitasking view, default web. I believe this is Genome Web. I'm not too certain. We can check that out later. This is Gearney mail client. The calendar, music, videos, photos, system settings, and the App Center. So just before I look at the App Center, I want to see the launcher. So I guess we'll go to Applications. And this is pretty intuitive. It doesn't take up the entire screen. It's a nice little modal pop-up or pop-out. Okay, doesn't really have much. Firefox does not come default on elementary OS. You will have to install that. This particular version was installed using FlatHub. Right. So I will show you why I had to use FlatHub to install Firefox. So this is our App Center. It looks pretty nice. Have no problems. But one thing I noticed is that this software center really lacks applications. There are paid applications in here. You do not see this often. In Linux distribution, you don't see paid apps that regularly. But as I mentioned, this really, I do believe, lacks quite a few applications. It's really limited on the amount of applications that is in here as compared to many other Linux distribution. So I believe if I search for Firefox, it will not show up, or I guess it shows up because I already installed it. Uh, let's try Vivaldi. Okay, so Vivaldi is another web browser that's common on various Linux distributions, especially Arch Linux. So as you can see, I've typed it here. It doesn't show up. Let's search for something similar again. I've searched for tweaks. This will be genome tweaks. Doesn't show up as well. So I believe it lacks that vast amount of application. It does have some pretty good applications, and don't get me wrong, you do have the option to use uh, Flatpak to install these applications. So you can just open the web, go to flathub.org, and here you're basically in the FlatHub store, and you can install whatever application you want from here through the FlatHub store. So let's search for one application that I would personally use quite a bit. So let's search for Teams, or Microsoft Teams. Hit install. Downloads pretty quickly. Then you'll have the option just to tag accept, understand, install anyway. And that's basically it. It will download and install Microsoft Teams. And for me personally, this is a bit too much to install an application. I really like just going into the App Store, find the app that I want, hit install, and done. Instead of going to a particular website and have to do a bit of extra work to get the application to install. Alright, let's check what files. Again, in previous videos, I do mention that one of the most important aspect of a Linux distribution that I look for is its ability to communicate with the host. So usually when I'm using a Linux distribution, I use this Linux distribution in a virtual machine. So the ability to communicate with the host computer is very important to me. So this is where I check, and as you can see here, I can see my host computer. This is my MacBook. I will try to log into it. Okay, seems to work. And let's connect. And it connects and it logs right in to my MacBook, which is good. I do like that. And something I got to mention is that I noticed this particular distro is pretty smooth. It's very, very smooth. I gotta say that. Okay, now let's check our terminal. Okay. Alright. So few commands that I love to run. htop. htop comes installed by default. I like that. vtop. Vtop does not come installed by default. So let's check. Do we have snap? We do not. Do we have SSH? We do have SSH. Let's run a few more commands. Uname. So we're running Linux. And this command, uname with -a flag, this just gives a detailed look at the system. We're running Linux with a 5. Kernel 5.11, and as you can see, Elementary is running on Ubuntu. So we can do which apt, and apt is installed. So let's go ahead and install Microsoft Teams is installed. Let's go ahead and install Snap Store. Sudo snap install snapd. Seemingly sudo command is a bit slow in this terminal. Guess later on I can do a deep dive and find out why. Press or snap is downloading and it will be installed. Okay, Microsoft Teams is installed. Let's try to open it. And it's opening. So that's a very good site. I'm not sure how many persons use Microsoft Teams on Linux, but I've been using Pop! OS for quite a bit as my daily driver, and the latest versions of Microsoft Teams I found does not run as smoothly as I would like it to. It often freezes on open. I'm sure that if it is something to do with the Microsoft Teams itself, I'm sure Microsoft have caught wind of that and are working on it. It could also be dependency issues within the Pop! OS distribution itself. So hopefully they'll take a look at that and get that resolved. But here in Elementary OS, I see that it opens with no issues. Right, so we have snap install. We can verify that with snap. We have snap install. Let's do sudo snap install snap store. Gotta say, this is not a good look. The sudo commands do take quite a bit of time to run. If anyone have any idea why these sudo commands take this amount of time to run, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And also, please do remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with family, friends. Just share the word, and let's build a community for Linux users. Personally, I do recommend using Linux. There's different distributions for different purposes, so particularly Elementary Linux might not be for you. You can check other Linux distributions. There is a Linux distribution for literally everything you can think of. There's this distribution for database. There's distribution for storage. There's distribution for handling web servers. It all depends on what you want to do. Just go out there, search for Linux of your choice, and download it, get it installed, and use Linux. If you have a whole computer that you do not want to throw away, but it's not performing as efficiently as you would like, please install Linux. It will change a lot. So while Snap Store is being installed, let's take a look at some of the other applications that are in the system. So I gotta say, by default, there is not much that comes installed in the system. There is no Office system. By default, there's only this web browser. There's no productivity tools, no LibreOffice, which many of us become accustomed to using on Linux distributions. It does have screenshot. Let's take a look at the screenshot. Pretty simple. Take a quick screenshot of the screen. Okay, that's pretty quick. So, from the looks of it, Elementary Linux looks like a simple system that you can configure the way you want it. You can install the applications that you will need to use. You can go ahead and install those. You can install them from Snap. You can install from Flatpak. As you see, I've just installed Snap Store. You can install from Snap Store as well. I am sure you should be able to replace this default app center with a app manager of your choice. You can do that by installing through app, so that you can Google to find which app manager you'd like to use, and you can install that through app. So I will not be going very deeply into the system, as I would need to configure it to match my preference. But from the looks of it, it's a very simple distribution. It's very efficient. It's smooth. You will have to install many of the applications that you need, but it seems to come pre-installed with just the basics that you will need to use. So if you're looking to do a bit more work, ideally a little more than lightweight work, you would need to customize the system to your preference. So in regard to this is Elementary OS.